Okay.
Good afternoon, class. We are the Group A, and the Group A consists of Mr. Manaloto, Mr. Collis, Mr. Calas, Mr. Bulanadi, Mr. Marinas. And the topic that we're going to discuss and present is the different kinds of security lightings techniques, types of security lightings, and the last one is the types of light lamps. Sorry po, ma'am.
Security lightnings and its uses.
Made up and calm down.
Security lightnings provides a level of deep illumination to clearly identify persons or objects and creates a psychological deterrent to criminal activity in the area being protected. There are four general types of outside security lightning: continuous lightning, emergency lightning, movable lightning, and standby lightning. Papaliwanag po ni Sean yung sinabi.
Sarating ka mo. Wait, pababa. Pa next. Continuous. Continuous lighting. Continuous lighting. Continuous lighting, the most familiar type of outdoor security lighting, can be designed to provide either of two specific results: greater projection or controlled lighting. The glare method of continuous lighting originated in prisons and correctional institutes. It is still used today, so meaning it's the kind of light that doesn't stop. It is mainly for security purposes, mainly used for penitentiaries and in prisons, because prisoners are most likely to escape and do it in nighttime. So basically, this is one of those security lights that does not being turned off at when it will only be turned off when it's daytime. So basically, it's ongoing when it's night. So it is still used today. It is described by some security experts as a barrier light, and it is particularly effective for lighting boundaries around the facility and approaches to a site. This technique is normally used when the glare of lights directed across an area does not annoy or interfere with the neighboring or adjacent properties. The utility of this method is that a potential intruder has difficulty seeing inside an area protected by such a barrier. Thus, the lighting method creates a strong visual and psychological deterrent. Generally, floodlights are used in this way because the beam, although easy to direct, produces a lot of glare. So it is also to distract, maybe to um, from the word itself, glare. Once you saw the light, maybe you'll get blinded by it, and maybe some some prisoners with psychological mental problems can trigger something, and that would make them stop. Maybe that's the reason behind it. So next.
Standby lightning. These systems are engaged either automatically or manually when the continuous system is inoperative or when there is a need for additional light. So dito, ginagamit ng standby lightning kapag sa mga madilim na part. Ito ay pang reserbang ginagamit.
Kala ko pa ba yun sa...
Sa madilim na part. Ayun. para ano, yung sistema ay madagdagan yung ilaw at tuloy-tuloy ang sistema ng ilaw. Ang standby lighting ay nakakatulong sa pagsuporta kapag mayroong nasirang ilaw.
Next pa, Mick.
Next na. Movable or portable lighting. The third system uses movable lighting hardware. This system is manually operated and usually is made up of movable search or floodlights that are located in selected places, which require temporary lighting. The movable system is also used to supplement continuous or standby lighting. This system is particularly used as construction site. Movable lighting or portable lighting, ito ay isang kagamitang ilaw na pang-hardware type. Ito ay ginagamit sa mga lugar kung saan walang ilaw o pangkasalukuyang ginagamit. Ito ay ito ay malaking pakipakinabang sa mga hardware hard, hardware na gumagawa ng mga kalsada. Tutuloy po ni Sian.
Emergency lighting. The fourth system is emergency lighting. Emergency lights may duplicate any or all of the other three types of lighting. Generally, the emergency lighting system is used in time of power failure or other emergencies when other systems are inoperative. So meaning, if we already experience brownouts and power interruptions, this may come handy because emergency lightings are usually in our walls and they generate electricity when there's still electricity. So basically, when there's no electricity, they're our alternative. So they serves as our light. So the unique feature of the emergency system is that is based on alternative power source such as gas powered generator or batteries. I have experienced this before because when I lived in Batangas, we often experience some power interruption. So we have what they call petrol generators, which we fill with gasoline, and it would generate power until the gasoline is already used. So emergency lighting is also considered as a backup source of lighting, especially for systems that use high intensity discharge lamps. So basically that's it. So moving on to the next go.
Okay. Next, we're going. I'm waiting for my camera po to be open. Ayan po. Uh, the next part of our presentation is different types of lamps, the incandescent light bulbs, halogen incandescent light bulbs, fluorescent light bulbs, compact fluorescent bulbs, or what they call CFLS, and the last one is LED light bulbs. Going to the incandescent lamps, this type of bulb is known to be the leader of the father of all other types of lamps or bulbs. This is from a simple design that requires electricity energy to have a light. It works by incandescence, which is the emission of light caused by heating the filament. This kind of bulb po is usually not being used now because of our era, but in the old era, this is the common bulb that individual uses. But in our present time, This kind of bulb is uses in some kind like in a coffee shop that want to give an image with a heritage type coffee shop like that po. And the next one is the halogen incandescent lamp. The halogen light bulb or lamp is a type of incandescent lamp which uses a light halogen gas in order to increase both light output and rated light. They are known for moderately high efficiency, quality of light, and high rated light compared to regular incandescent lamps. In this type of lamp po, this is normally uses in buildings in light ceiling buildings and also in cars and motorcycles like old cars and old motorcycles. This light is usually uses it po. And about its work from the explanation, it also uses gases around the inside of the bulb, and the energy will flow in the inside of it and it will produce a light bulb. Next one, the fluorescent lamp. This type of light lamp is more efficient to incandescent lamps. This lamp shapes like a tube thin pipe but made with a glass that requires a fluorescence of a phosphor coating. Inside the tube is full of mixed argon and mercury vapor. Hence, this bulb requires a high voltage in order to work and give light to us. This type of light lamp consume less electricity power compared to other type of lamp. Uh, this type of lamp po is what we usually use in our houses, in our house, rooms, and other area like building, also business building. This is a very efficient light compared to other uh, old old design lamp. This only require a less power and less electricity energy to use and a less voltage to be used in this kind of lamp. Uh, do you want to add other explanation, mate?
In addition to, with that, nowadays in offices or in companies with the they typically use these fluorescent lamps, no? Because these are, as what Julius has said, it consumes less electricity rather than the usual fluorescent light, rather than the usual light bulb. So it is eco-friendly as well, and the cost is not that big, so it is what companies use to maybe so that they can reduce their electric bill. So next.
Okay, next one is the compact fluorescent lamps or what they call CFLs. The compact fluorescent light bulb or lamp is a type of fluorescent lamp generally designed as a replacement for incandescent or halogen lamp. Screw-in lamps are self-ballasted. This is what we usually use now and what we buy like the brand of Philips and other big companies that produces mass manufactured bulb. And screen lamps are yeah, this bulb self sorry self ballasted and can generally be placed in an existing screw socket without any additional equipment. And this is what we usually have po. Like we're going to just tighten the bulb, and when it connect into the bottom of the bulb, when the electricity flow in it, it will produce a very high light. And this bulb took around 100 years in process of making this advanced light bulb. The company, Philips, as I mentioned before, was the first one to manufacture this kind of bulb, and until now, we are using it in two different places. Uh, as I explained into other types of lamps, uh, almost all of them are being used until now, but the one that we usually use is the bulb that has high technology and much less energy consumption, and also much safer than other lamps. Do you want to add other explanation with this topic? Okay, good. Next one. Uh, this is the last one. LED light lamps. This bulb is known now as the highest demand light individual light that individual people uses. This LED light bulb produces over only 10% as what other light bulb consume in terms of energy. Also in lifetime, this bulb can work for around 50,000 hours. However, some experts researched about this bulb and found out that the radiation it produces can damage us because of the radiation. This uh, type of lamp is what is trending now, also in Shopee or Lazada or other online uh, app that we can order. And there are different types of LED. This is just one of the example that we we individual usually use now. And as also a user of this kind of lamp, it was very satisfying and also good looking, and the produce of light it gave it was good, but uh, in the radiation, I think it is true. And the cost of this lamp is budget friendly. uh, it's not that kind of expensive lamp. Make, do you want to add other? Hindi ka na mag-add, Mick?
Go. Next na.
Okay, dito.
So, security lighting techniques. Um, I don't have any pictures for this because we were in rush. So, motion sensors during the night and even in daytime is one of the most secured and trendy at the same time. What are motion sensors? Motion sensors are what we call they they examine or they for example, me, I'm passing by and there's a motion sensor in the wall. And then I place my hand in that motion sensor. It can trigger an alarm, or maybe it can trigger light within the house to whatever it is made to be functioned of. But basically motion sensors can be used as security because they can detect the temperature of of a human or maybe an animal that is inside the house. So it is usually used for mainly for home invasion and burglary incidents in other countries. But I think it is also available in our country, but um, with a much reasonable cost since it is exported from maybe in the US. So next, modern techniques includes letting the lights on when in going out, reduces the risk of home invasions and burglaries. So basically saying don't turn the lights off when going out. So this is a basic security lighting techniques because burglars and home invaders would assume that someone is inside the house. So they will be aware and they will not go inside the house with lights on inside that house. So next, additional information when it comes to techniques, we can include solar lights as an alternative security lighting. I noticed because solar lights typically generate power during the day and they are turned on when it's night. So putting solar lights inside or outside your house, when someone is passing by, the light will suddenly turn on. So it is quite the security lightning, but um, it is also low cost and doesn't need to be plugged in, so it is not there's nothing to worry about when it comes to electric bill because it generates power from sunlight.
Ma'am, that's all po. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. Just to wrap things up, tama yung sinabi ninyo kanina that the main purpose, balikan ko muna. Lightings or security lightings are part of physical security. So when we say physical security, ito yung nasa labas. It may also be your first line of defense. Katulad nung sa mga may motion sensor na kapag dadaan ka, biglang iilaw. So tama yung sinabi ninyo na it would somehow lessen the probability na magnakaw doon sa bahay or doon sa installation. Kasi nga, iisipin nila, ay may tao dito kasi may ilaw. Although, minsan, ginagawa natin to. Iniiwan lang nating bukas. Kahit kami nun alis kami ng 2-3 araw sa bahay, pero bukas lang yung ilaw doon sa labas namin. Kaya kahit umaga, may ilaw kami. It's one way of deterring criminal activities to be committed in your installation. For example, yung continuous lighting, sabi nyo nga, yung sa prisoners. Kapag gabi, bukas lang yun, para sa buong panahon, makikita ninyo ng malinaw pa rin kung merong mga susubok na tumakas. So yun, that's one part of your physical security. So yun, lightings. Okay, next reporter, yung Group B. You may start.
All right, so good afternoon. Our group has chosen the topics under letter B, discussing the details about protective alarms. But before we begin, let me briefly introduce the reporters for this topic, starting with Jervian Luptu, followed by Maui Fernandez, Kay Lalik, Mark Escala, and finally, Carmina Del Rosario. And before we move on to the actual topic, let me give a brief overview of the contents for our report. Next, please. First, the types of protective alarm systems. Second, intrusion alarm system and its operation. Third, additional information on protective alarms. Now, we shall begin with the report. Go, Ben.
What is protective alarm system? Alarm systems are sometimes referred to as intrusion detection systems, security protection systems, and burglar alarm systems. The same basic premise underlies the operation of all widely used alarms. They employ a variety of sensors to find intrusions into a structure or security zone. An alarm system will also warn you of these threats if sensors are employed to detect smoke, water, or toxic smoke, for example, by sounding a siren or phoning a monitoring station. Alarm systems can be divided into two types: perimeter or external intrusion detection system. Pag sinabing external, yun yung nasa outside area. So, perimeter intrusion detection system, organizations utilize perimeter intrusion detection systems to completely safeguard their systems and to lower operational risk. A perimeter intrusion detection system is a tool or sensor that alerts authorities when someone is trying to enter a guarded location by physically breaching its boundary. A PIDS is frequently used in high security settings, including prisons, airports, military sites, and nuclear power plants. Katulad ng pag nasa loob ng prison, 'di ba yung mga prisoner kapag nakita nila sa gilid ng fences, kaagad nang nagbabawal yung isang pulis. It is generally installed as part of an inter-security system. Alarm systems can be single sector or sectioned out to cover different risk zones because more sensitive sections can be locked while not in use and other parts of building are open. Centralized alarm systems enable greater flexibility because it will alert organizations with facilities surrounded by perimeter fences. Ayun, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina sa example ko sa prison. In advance of unauthorized incursions. PIDS can be useful. When designing and establishing PIDS, your organizations should consult experts. A quick and suitable response is ensured to minimize any loss with prompt and highly precise location information of a potential intruder. Real-time data is provided by ensuring that your perimeter intrusion detection system is completely linked with your security solution, resulting in the capacity to detect and react to intrusions. And now I will proceed to the next type of protection alarm system. Internal security alarm system. The word itself, internal, inside area naman siya. A security alarm is a device used to identify intrusions into a structure or other locations such a house or school, including unlawful entrance. Security alarms are employed in military, commercial, industrial, and residential buildings to deter theft and property damage as well as to protect occupants from intruders. For example, copy ma'am. And for example, sa part ng internal security alarm system, pwede nilang gamitin na kumbaga, ay kunwari kung sa jewelry shop, may pumasok na isang criminal, nag-attempt siya ng pagnanakaw. Yung nagtitinda, pwede niyang, yung sa baba nung alarm nila sa table, di ba kapag kinlik nila yon kaagad magkakaroon ng alarm, tapos tutunog siya ng malakas na sign na merong nagnakaw. Neighborhood security warnings linked to a decline in robberies. Car alarms can aid in the protection of automobiles and the items within. Security systems are also used in prisons to keep tracks of the prisoners. Some alarm systems just guard against burglaries, whereas combination systems also protect against fire and incursion. Closed-circuit television or CCTV surveillance systems are used in conjunction with intrusion alarm systems to record the activities of intruders and to communicate with access control systems for electrically locked doors. For example, nung kaninang sinabi ko dun sa jewelry shop, kung may isang tao na nag-attempt ng crime, mare-record nila yung ginawang crime ng isang tao. Security systems come in a variety of forms. Most homeowners have compact, portable noise makers. These gadgets may also be intricate, multifunctional systems under computer control and supervision, even a two-way voice that enables communication between the panel and monitoring station may be included. At dito naman tayo sa mga iba pang types of protective alarm systems. Central station system. Several separate compounds tie their alarm system to a central station so that in case of need, the central station calls for assistance to the police, fire department, and hospital or with other government assisting units. And the next one, proprietary system. Similar to the central station type, except that the proprietary console is located inside the subscriber's installation who owns or bases the system. The third one, auxiliary system. An installation-owned system by which is direct extension of the local enforcement agency and or fire department by special arrangement. And the last one, local alarm system. Consists of ringing up of visual or audible alarm near the object to be protected. In case of alarm, response will be made by the local guards and the other personnel within sight or hearing. And the next reporter, Ms. Fernandez, the floor is yours.
Next, we will move on to the intrusion alarm system. Intrusion alarms are any detecting devices using electric and their combination to signal an alarm when actuated. An intrusion alarm system primarily protects a building's inhabitants from theft, vandalism, damage to property, and of course their own safety. These alarm systems are like security alarm systems that protect one's property. For example, if someone tries to intrude yung bahay nyo, the role of intrusion alarm system is to give an alarm or warning na may something na kakaiba within your surrounding. On the right side, makikita yung three parts of alarm system, which is yung detection that plays an important role on the input side, such as yung mga detection devices or sound vibration detection. Next is control. This gives controllers complete access to an alarm system. And lastly, signaling is the output where the sounds, alarms, bells, and horns plays an essential part. Users of notification devices gets information about an intrusion system via auditory, visual, or both modes of communication. Next slide. Listed down below are the operation of intrusion alarm system. Intrusion devices emit certain signals to the annunciator and operate on the following principles. First is breaking an electric circuit. If an intruder tries to cut the electric circuit, an intrusion alarm sets off an alert since all the potential access points can be wired to it using electrical strips and wire. So, most of the intruders' first target is the electricity or circuit. So, tinatry nilang i-cut yun para mag-blackout sa property na yon. So, in that case, if ever di sila ma-identify or mas madali siyang makatakas or magtago. Next is in the help of intrusion alarm. There is an electric eye or photoelectric cell. Used in this technology works on the idea of light beams. An invisible light beam is sent to a specialized receiver with this system. The beam is rendered unobservable to intruders by an infrared filter placed over the light source. Number 2, detection of sound and vibration. It can be used to protect enclosures, vaults, safes, storage bins, file rooms, and similar areas. This intrusion alarm system defenses are effective in protecting tiny microphones that can pick up sounds or vibration from a distance that may hinder the intruders and their actions. Next is the space and motion detection. Systems derive their operating principle from the Doppler effect. The Doppler effect happens when you move toward an object and the sound waves are delayed while coming toward you simultaneously. Fourth, penetration of an electronic or electromagnetic fence. It is a fence when there is a space between wires that serves as an antenna, a monitoring panel, and electric circuitry. This electronic fence consisting of 3 to 5 strands of wire spaced from 9 to 24 inches above on one another. When power is put on, an electromagnetic field is set among the cables from top to the ground. This intrusion alarm is in the fence. So kagaya ng mga pinag-aralan natin na mga first line defense in the perimeter barrier. So next slide. Next is the intruders detection system. These are electronic devices for detecting entry or in some cases attempted entry of an intruder and signaling an alarm. Advantages of intruders detection system. First is provide 24-hour surveillance. Second, if used with CCTV, permit guards to remain in protected position. Third is reduce the need of patrolling. Fourth is reduce manpower. And fifth is detect intruders at unmanned sites. Under the advantages of intrusion detection system, this monitors anomalous activity or malicious activity. The primary benefit of an intrusion detection system is to ensure that any personnel is notified when an attack or network intrusion might be taking place. Next is limitation. If not carefully selected and installed, they can be circumvented or have unacceptable false alarm rates. They require skilled maintenance. Next slide is perimeter intruder detection system. These are electronic devices for detecting entry or attempted entry across the external perimeter of a key point or vital point and signaling an alarm. They provide similar advantages as in intrusion detection systems such as yung mga providing 24-hour surveillance, reduce the need of patrolling and manpower. Moreover, it has the following limitations. First is liable to high false alarm rates. Second is costly to maintain and install. Third is may be vulnerable to deliberate alarming. And fourth is can be sometimes circumvented by knowledgeable intruders. Next speaker, Hale.
Thank you, Maui. So, as the name suggests, and as previously mentioned by Maui, intrusion alarm system is designed to detect intruders of a residential home or even commercial buildings. The primary purpose of such an alarm system is to prevent breaking in of unauthorized people, damaging private or public properties, and most importantly, protecting the people dwelling inside of homes and buildings. Well, now the special feature of an intrusion alarm system is that it sends a signal to the whole of the enclosure such as the house or establishment on a physical security breach, meaning lumapit pa lang or sirain ng tao yung windows or doors, meron na agad magti-trigger na agad yung alarm and magsisend yun ng signal sa buong place na pinoprotektahan nito. The devices used in this system are commonly as follows. Number 1, door contact. And then there's also glass break sensors. Number 3, motion detectors. Number 4, sirens. And lastly, there are strobes and other devices pa. Next, the motion detectors are or involve a collaborative work between security control panel to trigger the alarms, cameras, audio system, and lights. Gaya na sabi ko kanina, when someone is trying to intrude dun sa establishment or home, yung signal na yon, lahat ng devices na nakakonekta sa alarm system, magti-trigger lahat. And then we'll also have the glass break detectors, which activates the alarm through the sound of a glass breaking. As the name suggests, kapag nabasag na yung glass ng window or nung door, which is usually yung ginagawa ng mga robbers or burglars, agad na magti-trigger yan. And then we also have the keypads, which serve as the navigator of the system, which allows the owner to arm or disarm it, as well as activate or deactivate the connected devices. Isn't it? Lagi tayo nakakita sa mga movies or even in real life na houses or establishments na may maliit na box dun sa naka-attach sa pader and may keypad doon. Yun yung main means ng owner para i-activate or deactivate or i-disarm ang alarm system. And then we also have the door contacts. The opening or closing of doors and windows is monitored through it. Next, please. Now, when there is a potential intruder, it will immediately be detected by the system and send out an alert towards the alarm monitoring station. This station has professional operators handling it as part of the customer's choice before buying and installing the alarm system. As previously mentioned by VM, there are those who are employed to monitor such alarm systems, and once they receive a signal from the alarm system itself, they will transfer the information to authorities na kailangan mag-respond dun sa situation. Furthermore, intrusion alarm systems may be used with other security systems as part of combined solution to safeguarding a place of enclosure. Some other systems partnered to an intrusion alarm systems are access control system, video surveillance system, and fire alarm system. People must consider installing intrusion alarm systems in their dwellings or establishments because they undeniably strengthen the security of their properties, their houses, their establishments. Aside from stationing security guards na commonly nating nakikita dun sa each entry and exit point, such an alarm is open and active 24/7 without interruption and without much attention or without much effort from a actual person para i-guard yung place na yon. Moreover, just the mere knowledge and presence of the alarms and warning signals would scare interested intruders right away. And with the modernization of technology, of course, the use of this system has become more convenient because it could be manipulated through an app, a specialized or customized app na connected to a security or alarm system. When you are away from its location, you can still manipulate it. So for the next speaker, Mr. Escala.
Thank you, Gail. The following will be additional information on protecting alarms and devices. So what are detection devices? Devices are used to identify the entry of unauthorized personnel or an intruder within the perimeter. These are several kinds of detection devices which different program for detecting the presence of an intruder. So from the word itself, these devices detect unwanted presence in various ways. Let's now proceed to the common types of detection. First, contact switches. These are installed by door windows to identify if the windows or door has been untouched. Various type of contact switches are used depending on what type of surface it is, such as wood, metal, doors, hatches, gate, and other kinds of opening. Second, motion detectors. These are used to identify any movement, presence of people within the perimeter. These are detectors are commonly installed in corridors, hallways, and rooms with highly restricted variable. One of the most common motion detector nowadays is called passive infrared RPA detector, which detect an individual through body heat. Lastly, breakage detector. These are used to detect broken glass as there explains there are installed near glass and indoors outside the perimeter. The mentioned above are all common devices that are more devices used outside the commercial facilities. Miss Carmina, you may now proceed.
Thank you, Mark. So, moving on to signaling devices. So, these devices are activated by the intrusion alarm system when there is an intrusion detected within the perimeter. So, these devices are normally installed inside and outside the premise. So, there are three purposes why signaling devices are essential. So, first is to notify the trespasser that they have been detected by the system to probably cause the intruder to leave the building and cause less time on the premise. Second is to notify nearby residents or people on the perimeter that an intrusion has been triggered. And then lastly is to notify employees that may be inside the building that there is a possible threat and the intrusion alarm has been activated. So there are type of signaling devices, which are two. So the first is the audible signaling devices. So these devices are electronic sirens, bells, and voice announcement systems that transmit alarm messages recorded from the human voice. And then on the other hand, we have visual signaling devices, which these devices are revolving lights, electro electronic strobe lights, and blinking lights. So to differentiate audible from the word itself, we hear these signaling devices, and then on the other hand, visual, we see these other signaling devices. And then moving on to arming stations. Arming stations, these are devices used to arm, or in layman's term, turn on or disarm, turn off the intrusion alarm system. So as based on research, there are two common types of arming stations. First, we have the key switch arming station, whereas a special key, which is unique and it is hard to duplicate, is used to arm or disarm the system. Meanwhile, the keypad arming station is a digital numeric keypad, which is used to arm and disarm the system, where secret codes are used. So moving on. So how does really an intrusion alarm system work? So there are four steps that an intrusion alarm system works. So the first is an intrusion is detected. Then second, the control panel will be alerted. Third, the alarms will be set off. And finally, alarms will be deactivated. So to further discuss, an intrusion is detected where security devices detect intrusions based on how they were designed and where they were placed or installed rather. So for example, if the place should be empty for a particular time, motion detectors will be triggered if there is movement and body change or body temperature change, just as mentioned, like the contact switches as well as the breakage, glass breakage detectors. So therefore, it will trigger the system and notify the security officer within the perimeter of a possible threat. And then second, where the control panel will be alerted. So the security accessories will quickly send inputs to the control panel if there is sense intrusion. So afterward, the control panel will now do its program and send alerts to security officers inside the perimeter via email or messages or simply directly on the devices used within the system. So third, the alarms will be set off. So in this step, the alarm will be set off by the security afterward if confirmed that there is an intrusion or not. So it is known that there are two types of alarm style, and these are the following. So first is the bells only system, and then the silent alarm system. So in bells only system is an intrusion alarm style where blaring alarms and bells begin ringing to scare and bewilder intruders. So to further discuss, itong system na ito at ginagamit ito kapag gusto nila na agad natatakot yung mga nag intrude or loud alarms yung ginagamit. And then on the other hand, silent alarm system, an intrusion style where it does not make the intruder aware, hindi nila pinapaalam sa intruder na natatrack na sila. Pero on the other hand, authorities or yung mga naka-assign sa perimeter, notified na sila na may nagaganap na intrusion. So, it just happens sometimes that there are special call centers or customer services that are contacted, then they will be the ones to maneuver emergencies through the external processes. So, finally, we have the last step. Alarms will be deactivated. So, if all the needed authorities have been contacted, the alarm will be set off and can be deactivated by the keypad in the system. And then it can be reactivated for future purposes. So to summarize, there are 4 steps of how an intrusion alarm works. And then the first one is an intrusion is detected. The second is the control panel will be alerted. Third, the alarms will be set off. And then lastly, alarms will be deactivated. So that will be all for our report. Thank you.
Okay, sige. We may start with the last reporter. Tapusin na natin.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, classmates. Our topic for today is Security Communication System, Identification and Control Pass System, and Visitor Property Movement and Vehicle Control. Next slide, please. Here are group members: Chanel Pelayo, Junel Calaguas, Gabriela Villanueva, John Michael Santos, Antonio Sebasa, and John Leonard Pineda. So, security communication system. What does a secure connection mean? A secure connection is a connection that is encrypted by one or more security protocols to ensure the security of data flowing between two or more nodes. Next slide. Security system are an essential part of humanitarian operations, not only as a security mitigation measure, but as a backup communication system that has been used effective after a sudden onset emergency and natural disasters. So with such widespread influence, it is imperative that security has an internal voice in the form of communications representation, ensuring policies, procedures, and relevant breaking news items are universally and regularly communicated. Dito po pumapasok yung privacy between ng dalawang tao ng pag-uusap nila. Pero meron pa rin pong mga threats dito sa security communication system. Ito po yung malicious software, dito yung mga hackers, yung mislead ka sa sites, ganun sa kung saan po kayo nag-usap, call, message. So, how to prevent threats on security system. Sabi po dito, iwasan na lang yung mga sites na walang credible sources, ganun yung parang hindi kapat kapani-paniwala. Yan po. Next presenter, please.
Now let's move forward to the next, identification and control pass system. What is identification and control pass system? This system is considered the most convenient means of identification. Basically, if you don't have it, you can enter a facility or institution. For example, you will enter to the AF campus and you don't have the ID. Of course, the guard will ask you what are you going to do there. But if you have an identification card, entering the campus will just be simple and fast because you have nothing to explain. The next one is, what is the reason why to establish control pass system? The reason for establishing a personal control system is to provide a visible means to track and identify personnel who are authorized access to certain areas and to deny access to those who are not authorized. Because every establishment or organization, company believes that establishing control pass system is important. One of the examples is the building safety or the building security. Due to privacy regulations and many people are on the campus, they have to monitor who is coming and who is leaving the campus. But what about those visitors? May I call Ms. Chanel Pelayo to continue the discussion about the visitors? Thank you.
So, visitor management. What is visitor management? Visitor management refers to a set of practices or hardware additions that administrators can use to monitor the usage of a building or site. By gathering this information, a visitor management system can record the usage of facilities by specific visitors and provide documentation of visitors' whereabouts. To make it simple, visitor management is the process of welcoming and tracking visitors. Visitors management can help the organization to keep track of the people that visit the premises. When we say visitor, this portrays to clients, couriers, interviewees, contractor, consultant, and family member of the employee. However, visitor management system is a technology that tracks visitors entering your office. This system replaces the conventional visitor record with a medium that is more accessible. It gives you access to monitor the visitor that enter your building, campuses, or other facilities. It is possible because the visitor have to log in and use ID badges if they wish to enter a certain place, so the management can keep an eye on them. So, visitor management system is just a technology that governs the process of monitoring the visitors. It is also the alternative to traditional visitor record, such as logbook and front desk, etc. So, in visitor management, we have these two systems in which the corporation or premises can consider. First is pen and paper management system, in which it is the records of basic information about the visitors to a public building or site. Information typically found in an entry includes the visitor's name, reason for their visit, date and check-in and out time. For example is which was we commonly encounter such as front desk and the logbook. On the other side, computer visitor management system is use a computer network to monitor and record visitor information. As computer processing power, digital video and information gathering technology have improved. Electronic visitor management system have added photo ID capability, database searching, automatic door access, and other functions. So, pwede natin gawing example dito, yung health safety declaration protocol in which sasagutan natin siya through our mobile phone and it used technology. So may I call Jonel to continue the discussion?
What is property? A system of rights allow individual legal power over valuable goods and the items themselves depending on the nature of the property. An owner may have the right to consume, alter, share, ref- refine, rent, mortgage, pound, sell, exchange, transfer, give away, destroy it, exclude other from doing these things, as well as abandon it regardless of the property nature, the owner, the right to use under granted property right properly. Example, what is property? Maybe tangible or intangible include vehicle, industrial equipment, furniture, or real estate. Next, public property is a property that belong to public. It's property that belongs to the public and can be used anyone. The term can be used talk about their what the property used for what kind of person own its own collective by state population. This different from private property owned by single person or an artificial entity like corporation that present many people financial interest. State ownership, also called public ownership. Government owner or state property is when the state own piece property instead of a person or a group people. Private property is a legal thing property owned by legal entities, not the government. Next. Private property differs from public property, which the governments own, and collective or cooperative property, which a group of non-government entities own. Characteristic of property. Utility, the ability to serve as means to satisfy human wants. Substantivity, it exists independent of other things. Profitability, it can be the object or juridical relation. Next reporter po.
Movement and vehicle control. It is a concept of security wherein it monitors the traffic within the vicinity of the property. It also supervises the movement of people, goods, or vehicles to ensure safety. Here are the parts of movement and vehicle control. First is escort. It is also called a vehicle pilot. An escort is a vehicle that assists trucks with large loads and convoys of large vehicles to their destination. Some motorists guide within the vicinity and aircraft assistance in taxiing the runway. Driver pool. The most secure but the most expensive. In this system, the car is driven by a qualified driver employed by the installation. The driver drives the visitor from the entrance to its destination, and after the conclusion of the business of the visitor, the car is driven back to the entrance of the installation. Time travel. It is used to log the exact entrance and exit times of vehicles. Time travel is used in less sensitive installations. Grid system, a very complicated system. The installation is divided into grids and squares like map. Each square is given a number or letter designation. The visitor is then given a map and shown the route to take to his destination and should not deviate from the prescribed route. Otherwise, he could be stopped and questioned by the guards. Search of vehicles. At the entrance of the property, there is a sign installed that warns vehicle drivers that there will be a search upon entering the property. The driver must stop at the entrance for a car inspection And if they didn't find anything suspicious, they're allowed to enter the property. Next, next is a physical barrier, which will be reported by Mr. Pineda.
Physical barriers are low-cost and easy way to prevent or delay intrusions in access any property or area. They act as a psychological deterrence by making a perimeter and makes any possible intrusions difficult. The types of physical barrier. Chain link fences. Effective and affordable option in making a border around a property in order to protect the area from any human or animal intrusions. Ornamental fences are fences that are effective as chain link but are more sturdy and more expensive. Chain link and ornamental fences purpose is to redirect the entrance passage of any individual who wishes to enter the vicinity of the property. For example, if the school has no fences or walls built around it, anyone who wishes to enter it can do so at any direction, meaning that the property will be more vulnerable to any types of crime. Next slide, please. Razor wire or barbed wire. It can be added on top of chain link or ornamental fence for added safety by preventing any attempts of wall jump or crossing by human or animal. Bollards is an effective in keeping vehicles out of space while allowing foot traffic. Bollards are sturdy, short, and vertical posts. It is used for any property that needs no fences or walls around it, as it only limits the entryway of vehicles at any direction. Barrier gates are the gates that limits vehicle access while allowing foot traffic when gates are closed. Barrier gates are specifically made for vehicle movement control. It prevents any unwanted vehicles from entering property without authorization. An example of these are seen at checkpoints. After searching or checking the vehicle, then it is the only time it will be permitted to enter or pass through. Security glasses. Fortified glass or glass alternatives in protecting any vulnerable entryways of a property and social contact points. Glass panes can be strengthened to resist weapons, projectiles, and explosions. The types of security glasses are tempered glasses. Tempered glasses is glass pane that has been treated with heat and chemicals that makes it stronger and harder to break. If a breakage occurs, it breaks into small chunks with jagged edge for safety. Next slide, please. Laminated glass is a glass pane that is made by pressing durable plastic layer between two panes of strengthened glass. Layers are chemically bonded together, making it difficult to break. When laminated glass are thick enough, it can prevent any projectiles and can be bulletproof. Security film is a glass pane that has adhesive layer of polyester that is retrofitted onto glass panes to increase strength and shatter resistance of the glass pane. Bars on window frames. Bars on window frames are less appealing but provides more security in property. Bars on this type of security measure are installed in schools. It may be possible in guardhouses and other counters that prohibits any physical interaction. Access control system adds a layer of security by keeping doors locked when desired while easily allowing permitted personnel to access. This system allows control locks remotely and provide view of people entering the property. This type of system are mostly used in organization or companies that require a huge or accessible area monitoring around the property. Gate system is an entrance gate system that is designed to use series of sensors that are able to acquire information dedicated to the automatic management. Gate system is a small one-way or two-way lane that are equipped with security cameras and other monitoring equipments that can acquire information such as the plate numbers of cars passing the scene. That's- Thank you for listening in our group presentation.
Okay. Also, to wrap things doon na sa dalawang report, wait lang. So, i-compare ko na lang para mas mabilis. Doon sa Group B, ang kanila ay alarms in order to warn us kung meron bang danger. Usually, eto ay may kaakibat siya o may kasama siya na loud noise. Yun yung alam nating alarms, di ba? Pero may katulad ng mga nabanggit ng mga reporters kanina, merong mga alarms na hindi nagtitrigger ng sound. For example, kung familiar kayo, kung nanonood kayo ng mga movies na may ano to, hino-hold na hostage yung mga nasa bangko. Tapos may pinipindot yung mga bank tellers. Yun ay isang example ng central alarm system. Kapag pinindot nila yon, automatic, may isesend na signal yung alarm na yon doon sa police station. Then yung police naman ay ay magre-respond na doon sa kung nasaan kayo. So, yon, walang tunog yon. But the police officers will be alerted or will be informed na merong nangyayaring hindi maganda doon sa bangko. So, ayun. And then, ito namang sa second group ay tungkol sa communication systems, kung sino-sino ang pwedeng pumasok. Dito kasi sa report ng Group B, basically, sinasabi dito, hindi na ini-inform ang management ng isang installation na may intruder. Pag sinabing intruder, merong tao na gustong pumasok na hindi naman pwede. Pero dito sa Group C, pinapapasok natin dun sa installation pero properly recorded lahat. Okay. Questions? Wale.
None.
Wale.